Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Odd Tandem. Today, our guest, I guarantee you knew his name because he was on the front of the Tour de France a lot this year. He's one of the guys that goes up and maintains the pace, controls the breakaways, but he also finds his opportunities to shine, being a past world team time trial champion and finishing in second place in Paris-Roubaix. So please sit back, relax, and listen to our great conversation with Silvan Dillier from Alpecin-Deceuninck. Silvan, how you doing, man?
Thanks, I'm good. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
You know, you just got finished with the Tour de France not too long ago. How is the recovery going?
Actually, quite good. So I was with my family a few days in the mountains, just completely without bike. We went for one hike, not too much. My older son is 4 years old, so he did the whole hike, so it was not too crazy for me normally. So I enjoyed some off time and now slowly starting to get back to business.
When you finish the tour, there's more of a program probably. So did you tell him, hey, look, I need time off, don't call me, don't send me emails, I need family time? Or they call you every day and ask about your weight, your food, or how do you feel? Or did they leave you alone for a week? How do I have to imagine your little break after the tour?
Yeah, actually the team is doing really well in this kind of matter. They know we had a tough time during the tour. Also, not only the tour itself, it was already intense period before that. We had an altitude camp. We had from altitude straight to Tour de Suisse. Tour de Suisse was super tough. And then you have a couple days home with nationals in between. And basically straight after nationals, you fly to the tour. And so they know it was a tough time. And they said, okay, no problem, just go home, relax. And at one point, after 1 week, when you never recorded any training or sports activity, then they might call you and tell you, okay, I think now it would be time to get back to business. We set you up with a training plan, training schedule. But most likely your first race after the tour is already set before the tour. So for me, that is Tour of Poland. So I knew that I will have a few weeks easy at home.
But you spent so much time on the front. Like your job was to control the breakaways and make sure that it came to as many sprints as possible for your sprinter. Can you give us an idea of your energy expenditure, on one of those hard days where you were just like that motorcycle on the front?
So yeah, for me, actually, it looks like it's a super hard day. It also is a hard day, but for me, it's also quite easy because I just plant myself in front of the peloton and I'm quiet. So nobody disturbs me until the final when, all the teams are leading up and trying. I always call it the drag race. All the teams are next to each other, chasing or just pulling full gas and eventually sprinting for this one next corner, if it would be already the finish line. So at that point, my job is basically done. And so for me, it's just about, finding a good rhythm, finding a pace. Obviously also the breakaway dictates a little bit the speed we go. But at the end, it's like finding your rhythm, your flow. And once you found it, it's just, you do it. And I try to enjoy the spectators, the atmosphere, the whole thing, the whole story. It's the biggest bike race there is. And obviously you should enjoy it. And I think if you can't enjoy these moments, then maybe you should find another job.
I thought about you spending time on the front because I was commentating for German Eurosport, so I saw you all the time. How do, like me and also our listeners, how do we have to imagine the meeting when they tell you, Silvan, listen, we want you to pull every single day until you fall off your bike? And I mean, like going into the Tour, you must know that if there's not any exceptional circumstances, you will never see the finish line with the first group because you work for 4-5 hours every day. How do they explain that to you? I mean, I was domestic half of my career. I had some good results, and I was sometimes just domestic. So I know the job and how they tell you, but explain that to our listeners.
Basically, what they tell me is like, Silvan, you know what to do.
That's easy.
This is the thing they tell me in the meeting. Because otherwise, it's not. To be honest, it's not much more to say. I know my qualities. The team knows the qualities as well. They selected me for the Tour because of that reason. And I was also preparing for this. So, but yeah, obviously, it's not only easy, or it's sometimes pretty tough. And when the Tour starts, first day, second day passes, third day, and you're getting more and more tired. After the fifth day, you think like, 230 Ks today. I don't know if I can do that. But there was also one stage. It was not too chaotic in the beginning. And I told the team, okay, guys, I'm super tired from yesterday or from the last 3-4 days. I wait. I don't pull 1 meter until you guys call me. And so they let me alone. They left me easy for maybe 80-90 Ks, and so after that I started to pull, and eventually it came all down to a bunch sprint again.
But when you are taking those timeouts, if you will, it's been a long time since I've been in the peloton, and the speed in which you guys are racing every single stage just seems on a totally different level. When it is kind of mellow and you're taking that break, are you talking to other riders? Are you just trying to make sure that you eat and drink properly? Can you relax in the Tour de France peloton at all anymore, I think is what I'm asking.
Nice you ask. The thing is, it's my 10th pro year now, and we were riding full gas in the gruppetto. It's not the first group, it's the gruppetto, the last one with the dropped sprinter, the half dead. And I was watching, next to me was Luke Durbridge. And we were like 350, 370 watts uphill. And I was asking him, hey man, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I turned pro, this was the speed in the leading peloton with the favorites of the day. And then he was like, I completely agree with you. I was here exactly 10 years ago, and this was the speed of the favorites. And I was like, it's crazy. I mean, we are riding to make the time cut with the power. 10 years ago, you were in the first group. And for me, this was also quite mind-blowing because the sports progressed so much in the last few years. It's impressive, but I'm also happy to experience this.
So from the outside, we also realized the sport, we call it the golden age of cycling. We got superstars like you have two in your team, right? With Mathieu van der Poel and Jasper Philipsen, Pogacar, Vingegaard, there's quite a few, Remco Evenepoel now. It is a fantastic moment to watch the sport, to be fan of it. but isn't it incredibly hard? Because not only the Tour de France, from what I see with my commentating job, every single race is full gas, right? Bobby, when we were young, 20 kilometers to go was the finale. And if you want to surprise somebody, you would move up to the front at 25 kilometers to go. You would be the first one try to be in the front. Nowadays, the Grand Finale starts at 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers?
Yeah, sure. The Tour is, in this kind of perspective, super crazy. I remember the first Tour I did. It was a sprint stage and 70 Ks to go. It was like all the teams were lined up next to each other, going full gas for every single corner, roundabout, doesn't matter. You were thinking like in 2Ks it's the finish line. And this actually creates so much stress. It's actually, I would say it's mentally harder than physically. Because you have not one single second where you cannot be focused. You have to stay focused all the time. And this is for me is actually the biggest challenge nowadays. If you are doing a race like the Tour or also other races like, for example, the classics. Flanders, when I turned pro, the first few years, everybody knew like second time Quartermont, this is where it will happen. Now it's like 50 Ks before, where all the favorites already attack, and you have already a selection. It's like the final starts not like 60, 70 K to go. It starts already 100 K to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're just in awe watching you guys race. It's totally different because you said you've been in the peloton for 10 years. And I was there when you kind of came on to your pro career at BMC, and I know what kind of rider you are. And you've been on some good teams. You were on BMC, you were on AG2R Le Mondial, but you really seem to fit in really well on this team, Alpecin-Deceuninck. What is different there? Because it just seems like you guys have such a cool aura that you do things a little bit differently and seem to have a lot of fun when you're doing it.
Sure, I totally agree. The thing is, I would say it all starts with the management. It's two brothers, the Roodhooft brothers. They have really a clear vision where they want to go. And but they also know, okay, we are maybe limited against other teams budget-wise. We don't have like a royal family behind the team or a super big company, a billion-dollar company. So we are maybe restricted financially against the biggest players in the sport. So this is also the reason why we try to find different kind of ways in some approaches. For example, a team bus nowadays costs $500,000, and the team built the team bus on their own. They had a few mechanics. They buy a bus, then pull everything out. It was completely empty, and then build it up on their own. So this is how they manage their financial deficit against the bigger teams. And also, this is just one example. It's also on other things. I would say it's super well organized, and then it's also super well organized in the selection of the team. They have a really strong performance staff, which is monitoring the riders really well. They even take responsibility to build up a rider to his highlight in the season. So for example, if we have a talk in December for my race program, I basically know my race program for almost the whole year. And they say this and this and this are your highlights. These are the smaller races, but you will still be there to perform. And then they put me on a training schedule, and if I just follow this training schedule, and I wouldn't be on top shape for my goal, they would even take responsibility if it didn't work. They would not blame me and say, hey, why are you not in top shape? So they would sit together with me and find ways, okay, maybe this training approach doesn't fit for you. We have to adapt, but yeah, definitely we also fucked it up. So they, and in other teams I experienced more like you're trying to prove yourself in training, so that you're strong, and then you have to prove yourself in races. But how do you prove yourself in races? By results, and then you have to sneak your way through within the team tactics to make a result, to show that you're good enough to go to the Tour de France. In our team, it's not like that. In the past few years, after altitude camp, I was so shit in the Tour de Suisse. I even told the team, guys, I think it's better if I don't do the Tour. I'm like an amateur here. If we go over a bridge, I'm dropped. And they said, easy, take your time, give your body a few more days, it will turn around. And a few more days passed, and I was super good. And I was super good in the Tour. If the team would take the decision during the Tour de Suisse, if I would be good enough to go to the Tour or not, for sure they would leave me at home. And I think these ideas they have within the team makes the team just perform on a super high level, even maybe with a smaller budget against other teams. And I like it. For me, it's like the moment I joined the team, I said, this is a superstar team. I love it.
Talking about superstars, you got two of them in your team with Jasper Philipsen and also Mathieu van der Poel. How is it with working like such world-class superstars on a daily basis? I mean, do they eat the same muesli like you, or they have a special coffee, or how you get along during the races, training camps? How is life on a daily basis with a superstar like Mathieu van der Poel?
So talking about breakfast, if there are pancakes, they eat pancakes, both Jasper and Mathieu. If not, it's like a porridge. So we basically eat the same. And they are, Mathieu and Jasper, they are not next to cycling. They are completely different. I guess people saw it on Netflix a little bit, how Jasper is like this guy who loses his phone every 5 minutes, doesn't know where his socks are. Maybe he wears socks in different colors. So stuff like this, you can laugh with him on a regular basis, like multiple times a day. You think like, oh my God, for sure it had to be him, who forgot the race number in the hotel, for example. And Mathieu, he's just like, he is not a serious guy in the team bus, he wants to have fun until the last moment, even on the bike, you see it, he wants to have fun. He's not like a dead serious guy who needs to fight for position all the time. He relaxes in the back of the peloton if he thinks it's okay. And then, maybe there is a situation where it wasn't okay to be in the back, and then we have to correct it. But on the other hand, he also takes the responsibility, and if there is a gap and there is no helper, he just closes the gap without hesitation. So he's a really cool guy to work with, for sure.
Yeah, he seems super cool. Love to have a beer with that guy in the off season a little bit. But You know, you guys started the tour off this year without some victories. What was the team mindset in the bus when Jasper just couldn't come through with the win and then all of a sudden turned it around and came away with multiple victories? Like, was there something that you could pinpoint that changed there, or was it just happenstance that he was getting beat that first week?
You know, the run into the tour, or the whole preparation, was a little bit interrupted on some incidents. You know, we were in altitude. He felt sick for a couple of days. So yeah, there was. I think he didn't really believe that he would be able to perform like last year with this lead up towards the tour. And you saw it. You know, he was there in the sprints, but not really, victorious. And then, his self-belief was not on point. And the team, I have to say, they did a really good job. They did some analysis of the sprints in the first week. They did video analysis. They analyzed all his data. They showed the numbers in the meeting, and they said, Jasper, your numbers are close to your best ones, and it's more than enough to win a Tour de France stage in this peloton. No doubt. And we showed also that our lead out was working well. There were some small adjustments we could make better or do better, but you know, it's marginal things. And so this meeting, I think, turned his belief around, and the next sprint stage he won. And I think if a sprinter catches up the momentum, his belief is going higher and higher, and all of a sudden he sprints multiple stages, and this is what happened with Jasper.
So we all know the outcome. Cavendish won stage 35. In theory, if in stage 1, 2, 3, 4, Cavendish would be on your wheel and going, let me through, it's for the record. Would you open the gap for him, go, no, you're not on my team, I'm here for Jasper, I love you, Kev, and I wish you the record, but no, I cannot let you in. Or would you go, okay, Kev, come, it's your last tour, I open the gap, I open the door for you. Would you or would you not? I mean, it's purely theoretical now.
What if I say no?
Well, yeah, you can also refuse to answer, of course. It's a free world here.
Luckily, I'm not in this position normally. My job is done before, but you know, the thing is, you know, it's like if one guy wants to take the Jasper's wheel and he bumps into me, I'm the guy like, okay, man, I don't want to stand in your way. I'm out. Go for it, you know. And if it's Cav or somebody else, you know, the thing is, in these kind of situations, I'm gone anyway. This is maybe also why I'm not really a sprinter. But yeah, I was super happy for Cav that he took his 35th victory, and I think it's huge for the sport and huge for him, obviously. And I'm so happy I was able to be on site when it happened.
Yeah, I can only imagine. The entire peloton, you know, you've done, I think this was your 5th Tour de France this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you've been a part of this race before, and we as fans got to witness so many monumental moments, historical moments, like Cav winning, like Biniam winning, you know, Tadej just absolutely untouchable, you know, Remco. We saw so much special stuff. But did you feel that anything was different this year compared to your previous 4 experiences? Were you guys aware of all that stuff going on, or were you just kind of zoned out doing your job, not really thinking about all those special moments for us fans?
You know, the thing is, you could go through the 3 weeks and you don't even realize what happened. You basically could do it. You're just in your zone. You do your thing, and you don't care what's going on left and right. But if you really soak it in, what happened and all these special moments, you realize actually how fortunate you are that you are able to be around these guys. I mean, it's like I'm around the biggest superstars in our sport on a daily basis, and for me it's also interesting, to observe these guys, because I also learn from these guys. I'm like, okay, why is Tadej so much better than other guys? And then I realize, okay, there are super talented guys. They always stress around because they want to have control over everything. They are fighting for positions, and if they lose the position, they put all the strengths towards making it up again, And then you have a guy like Tadej. He's like, oh, okay, now I'm in the back of the peloton, no worries. And then he moves up easy, quiet, no stress. He doesn't call any teammate. He's not stressing. He's not pushing other riders. He's just like relaxed. And there will always be a door opening, and then he goes through it. And then he's within a few seconds, he's in the front of the peloton again, without any effort. And for me, if you're able to see all these small things, it's super nice to see. For me, Remco now is doing so much better than maybe two years ago. 2 years ago, he was also the guy who was freaking out all the time. He's still a little bit like this, but so much better. And this is also why he's performing now also much better than 2 years ago. He's more relaxed. He has his emotions under control. And obviously, he's super strong as well. So if you're super strong, there is no rush or no need to stress out. There is, You will always be able to come back or to correct the situation if needed.
Now, since you had a successful Tour de France with your team and Jasper winning a few stages, normally there's always a glass of wine or a glass of champagne at the dinner table, right? Nowadays, with cycling being so controlled and there's so much science in it, and people pay so much attention to their nutrition program, to the food and the drinks, is there still alcohol, a glass after a victory, or they go, nah, maybe we're gonna have 5 glasses, but at the end of the tour, not today, because tomorrow is another hard stage? Is that tradition still alive, or is it cut because it's alcohol and it's poison for you?
We always open a few bottles of champagne if we won a stage at the tour. But definitely most of the glasses, they go from our hands to a soigneur or a mechanic. And they are happy as well. So, but yeah, the tradition to make a toast is still there. But the thing is also, when I experienced this for the first time, I was also in this team. It was the first Tour de France, the first year I was in the team, and Mathieu took the yellow jersey. And we had all a glass of champagne in the hands. And I was like, okay, now we drink it, we enjoy this moment, this so special. And then we toast. I drink a sip, I watch Mathieu, and he's putting the full glass on the table. And then I was like, okay, yeah. This is maybe how we should do it. But obviously, it's not like it will harm you if you take a few sips of champagne. You could do more stupid stuff after a victory for sure. But it's more a mental thing. Some guys, they think, I shouldn't drink it, and then you better don't drink it. And some guys, they say, I deserve it, and I will feel good about it. And then you should take the glass of champagne for sure, and you should fully enjoy it. And then the day after, you will be fine anyway.
So it's safe to say that when your mechanics are putting that bus together, they did not include a wine fridge like one of your past teams had in the bus, right?
We have a wine museum. They have like one, how you call it? Yeah, it's kind of a fridge, and it has a plate in front, and it's called wine museum. Jeez. It's only for staff members.
Yes. I know that side. So before we kind of transition out of talking about the tour, we wanted to do a little bit of quick fire questions to just kind of get what's on the top of your head. So we got 4 questions here. Pretty simple, pretty quick answers. What is your favorite cheat meal?
It's called cordon bleu. I don't know if you guys know it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course we do.
Okay, best teammate to share a room with.
Ramon Sinkeldam.
All right. What would you prefer to win? A stage at the Tour de France or an Olympic medal?
Olympic medal.
Awesome. Okay. Stage win in the Giro or become national road champion again?
National road champion.
So now that we talked a few questions about the Tour de France, what is the rest of your season gonna look like? Please don't tell me you gotta go to the Vuelta a España and ride in the front for another 20 days. Please don't tell us. Man, that would be so hard and unfair for you.
No, it's not the Vuelta. But maybe I will do similar stuff in other races. Yeah, I will go to Tour of Poland. Then I will do the Renevi Tour, Tour of Luxembourg. Then hopefully World Championships in Zurich, in Switzerland. After Zurich, I think there are maybe a small handful of other smaller one-day races, and that's it.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing. Once you get done with the tour, you have like 2 or 3 days, and then it's on to the next one. And then they just keep coming. There's so many races all the time. It's not like the season's over, right? It's basically halfway through. But so you've done 5 tours, 2 Vueltas, and 3 Giros. How would you explain to our viewers and listeners the difference between those 3 major Grand Tours?
Yeah, the last few years, I only did the tour, so I don't know really if something developed in the same way as the tour did. I did the Giro. The first few years I turned pro, and for me it was just absolutely brutal with so much climbing, such long days. So many kilometers. Normally the Giro is like the hardest one if you see the numbers. And the Tour is, I would say, is the most stressful one. Not physically, but mentally, like I explained before. And then you have the Vuelta, where you think, this is more kind of holiday style. So end of the season, it's more like who wants one more time, who has some more motivation. But actually, if you see the Vuelta, the last few years, it was always a super exciting one, especially watching. But I can imagine the last few years, it also must have been super brutal to ride it. But most of the time, I would say it's a little bit more relaxed if you're not competing in a GC team. But anyway, 3 weeks, every day, full gas. At one point, you're tired anyway, and then it's how strong are you mentally to go through it every day, and how you digest all these efforts.
Just talking about fatigue in his Grand Tours. Sure, Bobby had it. I had it more or less every year once. Tell us if you had that as well. You get your room keys, go to the door, and the key wouldn't work. And then you go, that was the room number from yesterday. I'm on one level above. Did you have that as well? I had it every year at least once. I'm so tired, and I went to the room of yesterday, room number, and then, that was yesterday. Did you have that as well?
Yeah, it happened for me a few times. The floor, I was like, fifth floor, okay? And then like, oh, shit, no, it's not fifth floor, it's 4.
Yep, that's what I meant. You're so tired, you cannot even remember for 20 seconds your room number or which floor it is. I know.
Yeah.
These Grand Tours are...
But that's still okay. But the worst is if the key is really not working and you have to go all the way down to the reception. And then you're battling with your roommate, how you call it? Pepper, scissor, stone, or how you call it?
Yeah, the game with rock, paper, scissor.
Yeah, rock, paper, scissor, exactly. Who needs to go down?
But Silvan, you were world team time trial champion in 2014 and 2015. And I loved that event, but we're not seeing it so much in Grand Tours anymore. Would you like to see more team time trials in Grand Tours, or are you like, no, they made the right decision not including these so much?
I loved it. Team time trial was one of my favorite disciplines. It's so hard, but also so nice. For me, it's like it represents really the team sport. And but the thing is, it's also combined with a lot of effort. The team has to put in a lot of effort. Nowadays, you need to do wind tunnel testing, material testing. It's like a super big investment. And if you need to do it with multiple riders, not only with, maybe you have 2-3 GC guys and you want to set up them well, you do the effort. But if you have to set up like 7, 8, 9 riders to be able to switch around for team time trials in different races, it's a big effort. But still, I would love to see it. I would actually love to see the World Championship like we had back then, with the teams, not the national teams. And I would like to have also a world champion jersey for the team. So, then you would be able to wear the rainbow jersey in a team time trial in another race. And maybe you have like 5 teammates wearing the normal jersey, but you as a world champion, you could wear the rainbow jersey. I think this would be a super nice idea. But yeah, I can imagine it will be hard to bring that back.
So being 2-time world champion of the team time trial, what is the most important thing that you think about when you're doing a TTT?
I think, or you always have to think for the team. You should never think like, okay, now I feel strong, I push it, You always have to think that if you push full gas, maybe the 5th or 6th guy in the row, he has like some small gaps in between all the wheels, and he needs to maybe sprint for 20 seconds, if you push the gas in front. And so you basically can kill your teammates quite fast. It's not about the ego, it's about the team, and you always have to be aware of this and put your effort to the team, or how you say it, you have to make an effort for the team and not for yourself to prove how strong you are.
Actually, somebody really good at that was your countryman, Fabian Cancellara, in team time trials. He was clearly much stronger than the rest of us. But he didn't pull it up to 65. No, he just pulled longer. So give us more chance to recover. He was really, really good at that, I really have to say. So now that we talked about team time trials, maybe back in the tour or not, if you would be a designer for a Grand Tour, how would your Grand Tour look like? More mountains, less mountains, more stages for breakaways, more sprinter days, longer TTs, shorter TTs. How would your Grand Tour look like, maybe, roughly?
I would make on paper super easy 3 weeks. You know why? You know why?
Tell me.
Because if you have super easy stages, short, maybe a few climbs to make a selection, everybody would go full gas, flat out from start to finish. It would be exciting. You agree?
Yep.
So this is how I would design it.
Super easy, but super aggressive, and a little bit more made for TV, I guess, as well. But let's talk a little bit about your experience back in 2018 in Paris-Roubaix. You had just switched teams. You had just signed on AG2R Le Mondial, and you're there in the final with Peter Sagan, who I believe had the world champion jersey on. Tell us a little bit about your memories of that, because I never got to race Paris-Roubaix, but it is my favorite classic to watch on TV.
For sure, it's the best classic on TV. It's always happening something. But yeah, if you allow me to go a little bit before Paris-Roubaix, because actually I like to tell this story, because for me it's like something really nice to also show what is possible, because I was super motivated coming into a new team. I went to Gran Canaria. I trained 40 hours a week. I was in crazy shape. I was flying. And then I went to Strade Bianche. First sector, I crashed and broke my little finger. So basically, when you break something in Strade Bianche, your classic season is over. It's, Strade Bianche, and then a couple of weeks later, the classic season is fully on and already over again. So, I went back home. I was not really happy about my broken finger, but I more or less immediately started training again on the rollers. 1 week later, I tried outside, always monitored from a doctor if it's okay and safe to go outside. And I had 3 weeks after my injury, my next race scheduled. And I came there and won immediately. So my shape was actually still good, I guess, because of my big training block before. And so after this win, I had a small stage race just a week before Paris-Roubaix. And so I was there also performing on a high level. And midweek, the sports director called me and said, there are a few guys struggling after Flanders. One guy crashed, the other one is a little bit sick. You think it's okay for you to ride cobbles? And I was like, I have no idea. On normal tarmac road, it's okay, but let's find a church with some cobbles around. So in the evening, we found a church, and with pretty rough cobbles, I did 5-6 loops around. No pain. I called him again. I think it's okay to ride. Let's try. So I abandoned the race. I jumped in the TGV, went to Compiègne to the start of Paris-Roubaix. Basically the day before the race started, no recon, nothing, no material testing, just let's go. And then the plan was I wait 40 Ks, just stay easy, calm in the peloton, and then I tried to attack a few times to see if it's possible to get in the breakaway. And yeah, this is exactly what happened. I waited 40k, I attacked twice. Second time we had a small gap, and then came maybe the hardest part of the whole race to maintain this small gap and even build it up a little bit so the peloton would eventually let us go. And then I have to say, if you ever experienced this flow state, it's exactly what I had for the entire race. You know, you're just there, you're just enjoying the moment. I was like sometimes almost crying when I thought about my family watching or seeing me on TV in the breakaway in one of the biggest races we have in our calendar. I was just, it was amazing for me to be there, you know. And then you go further and further and further, and then 50 Ks to go. The director tells you in the radio, yeah, now Sagan attacked. And then you think like, okay, now I'm deep in the final, you know, now it's only the big players anymore. So Sagan joined our group. One rider after the other dropped. And, you know, everybody was on their limit. Even Sagan, he was obviously the strongest in this constellation, but also he was on the limit and he was pushing, you know, and every cobblestone another rider from the original breakaway dropped, and all of a sudden I was alone with him, you know. And I told him a few times, listen, if you help me, I help you, you know. I don't want to stick only on your wheel. I commit fully to this breakaway, and we go to the finish and we sprint for the victory there. It doesn't matter. I'm committed, you know. But you have to do the cobble sections because he was still more powerful. And I did my turns on the normal tarmac road. And I remember in these final few cobble sectors, I had so much pain, but not in my legs. It was in my hands. I had blisters like this big. It was all open. And I had so much pain in my hand that I was just like focusing on Sagan's back wheel, like, okay, don't give him 1 more centimeters. Just stick here, it's okay. And also the crowd was crazy. I mean, Sagan, he was like really flat out, and the spectators, they were standing everywhere, you know. We couldn't see the cobbles and where we have to ride. And they would jump like 2 meters before we arrived. They jumped left and right, and I was like, okay, if Sagan pushed full gas, I also have to push, and if he makes it through, I will also make it. And the same goes with the corners. He was not even touching the brakes, and I was like sometimes closing my eyes and take the turn. But you know, it was amazing. The atmosphere there was crazy. At one point, I had like a tinnitus, or you call it a tinnitus as well. Like my ears were beeping. You know, it was like so loud, crazy. For me, absolutely crazy. I think I maybe experienced this once or twice in my career, and yeah, Paris-Roubaix was absolutely crazy in this term. And yeah, we came to the last sector just in front of the velodrome, and I turned into the velodrome as first, and I was like, okay, I know a little bit how to ride the track, so I took the upper side on the balustrade. And then, yeah, Sagan launched his sprint just a little bit earlier than me, and he pulled it off and he won. And I was not at all disappointed. I was in tears. I was so happy it was over, this pain, because I was crying the last 30 Ks. I was so empty, but I was also so happy that I was able to finish on the podium of one of the biggest races we have in our calendar. And I said Sagan for me was like a a devil and an angel and the devil in the same person, because without him joining our group, I guess we would have never made it to the finish line. And with him, sprinting against him for victory in his prime time as a world champion. Okay, I was also Swiss champion that year, but yeah, he was better that day for sure.
So, listening to you and your excitement and happiness, would you say you won a second place in Roubaix? You did not lose the race, you won a podium place in Roubaix. Would that describe what you just told us?
100%. 100%.
I love it. All those young kids out there, listen to what he just said. So, Silvan, I want to talk a little bit more because we're getting towards the end of our allotted time. Tell us a little bit about what you do with the Dillier Classic, Grand Fondos, and charity rides. I want to learn a little bit more about that.
So, yeah, I have this small race series. It's called Dillier Classics. One race is called the Gipfel Gran Fondo. Gipfel is a German word which means mountaintop. And in my area, we have it's quite a hilly terrain. So we have small climbs, and this is why we call it the Gipfel Gran Fondo, which is a race for everyone. But we only have, it's not a race from start to finish. It's basically more a group ride. And then you have a few sectors where we measure the time. And then we accumulate these timed sections, and the total time defines the result list. So, and I always invite a few pros, ex-pros as well. They join the different groups. So everyone has the time to ask a few questions to the pros. It should be more like a social ride with some challenge inside. And it actually happened yesterday, the 3rd of August, 4th of August. We had already a dinner 3rd of August, 4th of August was the Gran Fondo. And I have to say it was so nice to see everybody pushing their limits, on the timed sections, and then coming to the finish line, tired, but with the biggest smile possible in their face. And for me, this is like, okay, I have to do this every year from now. And the other event we have is the charity gravel ride, and all the money, the participants, or the ticket price, all the money we collect from the ticket price, we aim to put all of this money into the pot for different charities. We support Movember charity and Pink Ribbon. So it's mainly for projects against cancer for men and female. So Movember is for men, and Pink Ribbon is for female. And this is like the event where I don't want to earn any money. I put all we get, we put into the pot and give it to these charity events. It's super easy. It's just as long as you have a bike who rides on off-road roads, you can join. If it's supported with an engine, no problem. We want you to come, to enjoy, and spend some time with an amazing community and have fun and enjoy a good meal, obviously, and a drink afterwards.
Silvan, that was some really nice words for your charity, and that you also try to help other people. Silvan, we just want to say thanks a million for being our guest tonight and give us a chance to talk to you and talk about your Paris-Roubaix experience with blisters the size of a $10 sign. and being our guest, sharing your experiences with us. Thanks a million to you.
Thanks, Jens. Thanks, Bobby, for having me on your podcast. And maybe another time. Just let me know.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Remember to hit subscribe and hit that bell icon to make sure you miss none of our great content popping up here, including more great interviews with top guests like Silvan. Keep dropping your questions for us in the comments and check our description below to find us on social media and Patreon in order to support this channel.